Sure, go ahead and turn it on. We're gonna put it here. Recording.
Hello, sorry, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Again, speak up again, we don't hear
Oh,
you.
where's the camera? Oh, it's over here, right?
Say hello again.
Can you hear me?
A little bit.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Good.
We put the volume up too, so.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and go. If anybody else joins us, I'll be here. Okay, so it's 2:30 Island time on Wednesday, the 5th of October. I'm Scott Holt, chairman of the Nature Preserve Technical Advisory Board, and I'll call this meeting to order. So our first item always is the citizens' comments. We almost never have citizens. So the question, and actually for you, do you all want to talk now? Or are you going to wait until we got one item before we get to the, I don't know, I see you here for signage.
The signage, yeah, so I
do
thought
we
that
wanna
they
do?
would be better for them to talk at the beginning of the agenda item. So then we can converse with them, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes, yeah, they wait. Okay.
Yeah.
So assuming there aren't then no citizens' comments.
Oh, I adjusted that. Just letting you know, it was kind of like cockeyed. Okay. Oh,
Okay.
I didn't think anyone was coming back, so.
Okay, so the next item on our agenda is the manager's report, and there's something here about the departmental updates.
Yeah, so since we have a lot to discuss, I just figured I would update you guys on a few things that have happened since our last meeting. So we talked about prescribed burn over here on Port Street on the city property, and the burn ban has been lifted. So I submitted for that to occur sometime with the fire department. It's going to have to be on a Saturday. So between the 29th of October and December 17th. So I just put kind of a large range of when that would occur. So we got that in motion. We have our community tree giveaway on October 22nd. So we're going to have 505 native Texas trees that will be free to whoever comes. And we're in conjunction with that celebrating Migratory Bird Day, which is something that with our Bird City, Texas certification, we're supposed to do. And it's a great opportunity to do that. Encourage people to plant native trees for bird habitat. So we'll be doing that at UTMSI on Cotter, and the new Patton Marine Science Education Center is going to be opening a few days before that. So we thought that would be a good opportunity. It worked really well over there last year. We set up under the dorm. People came and got their trees. They went to the WEC, whatever. So that should be really fun. So mark your calendars. The 22nd and at 9 a.m. Yep. And the Nueces Master Gardeners are helping with the tree giveaway. So I'll have like 20 volunteers for that part. So that makes it really helpful because people don't know that much about the tree species, and they kind of just grab a master gardener and talk and pick out their tree. So other things that occurred is the budget was approved. So everything that we requested was approved, and some of the highlights I just added, I went over some of this last month, but we have a new position, the natural resource specialist, and we posted that internally, and both Jackie and Justin, our nature preserve grounds technicians, applied, and we interviewed them both, and we hired Justin. So he's a wealth of knowledge, completely self-taught on plant species, insects, all kinds of stuff. He's really smart. He wants to work more on the restoration and projects. And so that's gonna be his main focus. He'll be helping with monitoring, invasive removal, planting, helping with social media, signage, content, all that stuff. So, and then
And
we
that position's called natural resource
specialist, yeah, kind of like a field
Is that
technician.
something that you had, or did you have to create that?
We created that this year.
It came up with a job description.
Mhm.
et cetera.
Yeah, we just felt like that's where we really needed the help with. He also will help train guides. We have like master naturalists and volunteers that are students at UTMSI even that have helped with nature walks and things. So he can help train them. We've done that before. That he's helped with that before. So but it's, you know, he's out there all the time, so he knows where all the interesting things are and what's going on. So, yeah, so I think it'll be really good. We have a bunch of applicants already for the groundskeeper position. So I'm gonna go through those tomorrow and hopefully set up interviews next week. So, which was great. I was worried we weren't gonna have anyone, but citywide, the pay scale went up 15%. So that's nice, you know, attraction for people, especially having to drive into town to work. Okay, another thing that was approved is sediment management plan / restoration plan for Charlie's Pasture. So this is the area behind the bulkhead that washed out, like 11 acres of land that is open water. And so I want to work with, you know, some professional services engineering to come up with a feasibility study, alternative analysis, all that stuff, stakeholder input on to come up with a plan for out there. So we'll have more on that soon.
You mean for the trails?
Just for the restoration of the land
Okay.
or whatever, you know, we want to do back there. It's actually about including the shallow pond that was behind the pavilion. It's over 13 acres of land that is open water now. Cause I'm kind of including that because it was like a 3-acre shallow pond and now it's kind of deep water. So it doesn't have to look, you know, like it did before, but what are we going to do? Because once the bulkhead is complete, which they should be done like summer, 2023.
And that includes the second opening?
No, just the first one. And then the GLO, the Texas General Land Office is in charge of the rock revetment project, which starts there at the end of the, what is now the temporary bulkhead. So the rock part, the GLO will manage, and I thought they were going to be ready to go when we were done, but they actually need to survey our project and the conditions to finish their engineering. So it'll be that much more further behind because then they'll get out there, they'll make sure that everything makes sense with what's existing or whatever they need to do. And then they'll final engineering and then put their project out for bid. So there's 3 more openings. But the ones towards Piper Channel have actually, there's been sedimentation. It's kind of, the sand is higher behind where it blew out. Just those first 2 that were scoured out. I don't know why, but maybe it's more shallow over there by Piper, just from the jetties. I don't know.
Probably they'll all fill themselves in.
Mhm.
That's why even the first one that's open, you know, you walk across it and it's 100 yards wide.
Now,
No, it was.
before,
Yeah, so it's sort of a natural process.
Right.
Filling all of those washouts to get filled in between washouts.
Yeah.
And it had been,
Right.
what, 30 years, you know, since we'd had that kind of event. And they're probably gonna go again next time. I mean, that's just the way the system
Mhm.
works. But
yeah, it's like,
they naturally will go in if they don't have those big scour events.
yeah. But before we close that off, we went from like losing 5 acres to like more like 12 in between
Mhm.
having it open to the ship channel. So that's why it needs to be closed. We just, with the deep channel, it's just not natural anymore, none of it. So I don't know. So I'm hoping to get some experts that can help us move forward and work with all the you guys and Fish and Wildlife and whoever else wants to be involved, probably the Coastal Bird Program with Rosario's group. They monitor for birds out there. And so get everybody involved with how we want to move forward. So we have funds to do that now. Okay, and then I put in funds we're working right now, which I think the next meeting or the meeting after that, I'm gonna have the group working on it, come in and talk to you guys. Half associates, they are working on the new nature reserve site down by the water tower at the city end of the city limits on Mustang Island. And so they did a wetland delineation and put together a report that would be, used for permitting. And then they are working now, the next kind of second phase of that is over the next couple months, more like conceptual design of what we could do out there. There's been talk about kayaks and we talked about it here a little bit last year. This money would be moving like that conceptual design into an actual design for construction and maybe some matching funds for a grant. So, and then I put in additional funds also for trails and boardwalk, because the Paradise Pond Trail and boardwalk connection, I don't think we would have enough money in the budget with the increased cost of construction. So I just added more funds in for that for this year. And then the last thing I put here is an entrance sign for the Charlie's Pasture South entrance. It's very hidden. I want to have something double-sided on the highway so people can find it with the apartments and the RV park. Last time it was open, it was pretty wide open out there. It was easy to find.
Yeah.
Before Harvey. It was just Sharkies and that was set back.
Very cluttered out there with
Yeah.
construction around
No,
it.
but I drove by it the other day.
You passed it.
I passed it. And I'd go there all the time. So that's kind of, I just wanted to do a quick update, and that kind of like segues us to the next agenda item. So I have $15,000 I put in the budget for a sign.
Before we move on,
The
do you
highway.
have any
Yeah.
questions, comments about the manager's report? Sorry,
I like the signs. I like the fact that we can read them.
Okay.
Before the text was full colored.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, because you guys provided comments on that.
Yeah.
So they made it.
Also, some of your notations wrong.
Oh, gosh.
White color. That's brown color.
How did we not notice that? Oh, you know what? Some of this might have been fixed.
Okay, this is the first time.
I just pulled this off my computer real quick, but I remember we definitely edited the grackle, but wow. Yeah, that's not a white pelican. It's not white.
But I like the fact that you can read the text and everything.
Okay,
The
good.
color difference on the text in the background.
Yeah, I think everyone provided some comments on email. That would be funny.
Yeah, I'll check that.
We had all these obscure things that we ID'd and then the white pelicans.
We had that on the first, I don't know if you were even
Oh,
around, I think
God.
you probably were, when they first put up a big signs out in the pavilion when it was first built.
Yeah.
with All these bird pictures and names on there, and then probably a quarter of them were wrong.
Yeah. Okay, well, good news is also that this sign, we printed it on aluminum sandwich board and it can be reprinted for $54. So
Just check.
instead of the iZone things we printed before that were like 400. So,
Okay, any other comments? Okay, so we'll move on to the items for consideration, and first one is a presentation and general discussion on nature preserve signage. Ray, I'll let you start that. We obviously have
okay.
somebody else here to talk with us about it.
So, well, we're gonna be putting a sign at the entrance to the south entrance. And at this current time, the Chamber of Commerce and Tourism Bureau has been working on a wayfinding project. And so like trying to get signage in town to be similar and helpful to visitors and point them in the right direction and all that. So they have come up with a whole design kind of family of signage. And so the question is, do we want to move towards starting to phase in their signage? Or do we want to sort of try and put another one of these monuments? Like, so this is what the entrance sign looks like now. So, you know, do we continue with that aesthetic over there at the south entrance? It matches kind of with the kind of concrete, like the benches and the monument as you arrive to Charlie's Pasture. I don't know if that makes a difference or not, but that's, you know, that this design was all come up with in 2000 when they built it in 2009. And so the bollards are this concrete material. Anyway, so, and then these signs were designed in when the nature preserve was first put in on the top picture with the family there. And then more recently, Cheryl Johnson, it kind of recreated, if you look on page 2, some of our interpretive signage or entrance signage to have kind of just a little bit of a similar aesthetic. And currently this is the sign we have at the entrance of all the other sites, Birding Center, Paradise Pond, Wetland Park. And then this is at the community park for Charlie's Pasture. So those were ones Colleen had purchased a few years ago. So that's kind of what we have out there now. So I just wanted to have that there. And then I wanted them to present what they have going on with the wayfinding project. Is that good?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can come to the podium.
So a couple things. One,
Whoops.
we need your name and
That's right.
job.
Got the tip. You
And-
can bring it down.
Address, but I have a question for you, or a comment before you start.
Oh, Brett Staymore, title, President and CEO of the Port Aransas Tourism Bureau and Chamber of Commerce.
I assume you have a quick presentation for us, or to go through this, but as part of that, I guess my question that came up immediately, you know, sort of how far along are you with actually getting final designs? And since Ray asked you about this, can you sort of tell us how these things are gonna, whether
Yes.
they're gonna look anything like how we might get these together in your mind?
Yes, so we are at 95.9% schematic design done. That's not saying elements like, you know, the bird or a certain color or scheme or things can't change, but a lot of what we're doing is based on kind of a comprehensive look at all of the signage for the city. So we started out about a year ago, a little bit longer, holding some workshops with Park and Rec, as well as Coastal Parks, UT. We didn't include you because you were off the beaten path, but we looked at all your stuff and did an analysis and audit of our current situation. So we looked at all the programming and everything, and we're working with a firm out of Dallas. They're called RSM Design. They are familiar and work with coastal destinations. They're actually headquartered out of San Clemente, California, but also worked in Florida and California beaches. They've not worked in a Texas beach yet, but we're working on that. So a lot of the impetus of it was just as you came into town, there's way too much sign clutter. And looking at the brand that we created a couple of years ago, which is Port Aransas, the Island Life, and some of the colors and icons and graphics that we use. It was also done, you know, looking at the current city signage and what Ray pointed out a little bit earlier. You can notice a lot of similarities from the markers you have right now at your Park and Rec and other places, all picked up elements of those designed to push them into one kind of comprehensive brand, and then also now becoming a wayfinding system for all of our city parks and beach access roads, regulatory signage, as well as some interpretive signage. So we met continuously over the past year, kind of with the group, and we had a smaller working group, which included some city council members. I think your wife was on that, in case you ever wonder what she was zooming about. And then UT and Coastal Parks, and then our local park district and city manager and some of those folks. And we've gotten this far, and what we wanted to show you here was more the comprehensive look at it. So everything from when you come into town to then again when you leave, what the experience is and how to get the visitor aware of and following a certain pattern that'll help them kind of identify things faster. And it's not just a hodgepodge of layered signage that's gone on for year after year after year, which is kind of where we're at now. So all of that being said, I don't know how much you want me to go jump right in, but there are certain pages within this full report, without going through every single page of this report, that I would think mostly are relevant, to what we're talking about today at the preserve and other nature parks within there. The first kind of section that introduces this is page 12, I think, in identifying the districts. And when we came to it, we looked at the heritage and then some of the recreation and different things. We had the beach, we have Old Town kind of as our heritage nature preserve and its related sites, and then the marina and the waterfront district. So we've identified those currently with the graphics you see there: a tarpon, a sea turtle, a spoonbill, and an anchor. Now we realize the spoonbill may not fit with the current species choice of your logo in particular,
Yeah.
or we didn't realize that totally until we met a little bit more with Ray, but we can change that if you all want to stick with the crane or egret or whatever you
Well,
have.
The spoon, Joan was the one who recommended
It's us.
spoonbill because it is this official,
It's a city bird.
the bird of Port Aransas. So I don't know that it clashes that much
Okay. Well,
but that's what.
and that's kind of why we did
feed
it.
into,
It
yeah.
has a more of a story to it as to why it relates to Port Aransas. It
Mhm.
connects to all of those things, as well as tarpon, picking that species of fish. Obviously, we were on Tarpon, Texas, and tying all of that together. We love our turtles and of course love our boating industry as well. So those all fit in kind of in setting the zones of the visitor experience. And we, some of the maps probably get into saying this is our nature zone, this is our beach zone, this is our waterfront district. Some of those things that kind of help us guide along the way. The stuff in the middle, talk about all the different sign types, and certainly the big one at the entrance of both the ferry landing as well as off of 361 by the water tower that Ray mentioned. We're going to be more monumental great gateway signage. The material itself is, it's coming across here is very silver looking, but it won't be that. It will be more of a whitewashed wood or a wood fabric looking, but they're all illuminated arches and different options of powder coated aluminum or wood finish for wood finishes on some of them. That'll be working on that. So we're still kind of working on those sorts of, exactly finalizing the materials that'll be used on that. That should be in the next couple of weeks. We'll be done with that. At that point, this RSM group will kind of bid everything together and give it to the city in biddable packets that they can then implement when funding is allowed. So it's going to be probably a couple year process for them to fund all of it. All of these signages, UT has agreed to maybe support some of their signage. The coastal parks and Brent Chesney and all of them have agreed to fund a lot of their sites as well. And then I heard Ray mention you had a couple of dollars in there, but that doesn't matter. It's all coming out of city coffers anyway at some point.
Yeah.
So we can figure that out. But one question I had off subject is as you're coming out of town, the wetlands area there, is that all the way up to the city limits on this south
The new
side?
property?
Yeah.
No.
I need a good come back soon sign somewhere.
Oh, yeah,
So
no.
we're working on the other side now, but we'll figure that out.
But the water district owns a chunk just south of our entrance, just south of their entrance, maybe.
Okay. Well, we'll
But
look
it's
We're
at
using
pretty-
the same entrance that the water district
Yeah.
uses to get in there,
Mhm.
right? And then we're branching off.
Yeah, I think they have that. Maybe they don't actually. I don't know, but it's pretty close to the city limits.
Okay, now that's
Yeah.
side topic, but we've
Yeah.
been working with Happen Associates as well as the Breeze and Nichols and the group here on the comprehensive plan. The idea of this is that this is an addendum to the comprehensive plan that the city will be adopting at some point in the near future. It's something that we can hopefully start building out as early as this fiscal year, should funds allow. And we are working with the Harbor District and some of their new rebuilds right now and how some of this can build into that. And our hopes are that as you kind of build out all of your plans, that it would tie in with the city's soon to be plan and your own plan as well. So the other key pages that I should point out, 27 is one that you'll want to kind of pay attention to because it's actually your site.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's,
actually kind of gives you the side by side.
Yes, when you look at page 27, it has the existing signage you have there as well as maybe what would be proposed. And this is one of our larger identity signs because that is a larger site and one of our largest attractions. So, you know, this would be one of the bigger ones that we'd like to see placed as you enter into the zone of the nature preserve. Again, it's that exterior grade wood and powder coat aluminum. The color in the middle, we're going to see how some of those look. We're going to do some prototypes and make sure they hold up and pop enough. But this one does not have a logo integrated. The city did say, that's something, they want to put City of Port Aransas on there and they want to put
Yeah.
possibly
Well, also the,
integration. Of
yeah, the
logo.
name is really the Nature Preserve at Charlie's Pasture. So,
Yes, so we'd get all that right.
yeah.
We know what a white pelican
Right.
is at least.
Yeah, I know.
But we'll
And then
get
I
that
guess
right.
these would be on the next page, kind of more like what we would put at the entrance to the birding center, somewhere like a smaller sign.
Those are your smaller ones. So that, yes, those are your.
Yeah,
Those
'cause
are the
it's kinda
side ones. Those are
comparing.
ones that actually have event listings underneath it. So these are more for like, we were thinking the library, the
Mm-hmm.
civic center, the community center. Because underneath that, they might have event schedules and things like
Yeah.
that. There are other amenity signages, I thought, maybe that
Well,
was
we
the
could
other
put
one.
the hours. Like,
Yeah.
like, cause right now our sign looks like this, but instead of the garden club, it might say open sunrise to sunset.
Yeah, that is really the secondary amenity signage. So your smaller, maybe more passive parks or things of that nature would be signed in that way, or very similar to be. We've got cost estimates on all of this already. We got 3 different vendors to kind of provide preliminary cost estimates, just so we knew, are we way out of the water on this or not? And most of them will come back pretty reasonably, I thought. Still had too many zeros, but it's okay. It's a lot of signage here and a lot of different things that we're talking about. So individual signages though, like that, I mean, I know it's under 10,000. We can't remember exactly, don't quote me, but it was not terrible. To clearly mark this. All right. So did we go through 27, 38 was another one that I thought, as we create
Oh, yeah.
kind of interpretive pedestrian walkway information. The idea is we're going to be redoing a better mapping system for the city to get around the different zones. And again, at the top, identifying what zone you're in with the iconic animal element, whether that's our spoonbill or the egret. And then building those out in key areas. So when RSM was in town last week or 2 weeks ago, they went through all of the sites and met with Colleen and talked about potential placement of really everything from the gateway signage in the front to the beach access road signage, and then the regulatory signage and beach markers and all of the things that are kind of identified in this plan. So we're meeting with them in the next couple of weeks to kind of hear their recommendations on sign placements and kind of go from there.
Well, this on 38, that style signage could, because these have a map on the back.
Mhm.
And I showed Chris that the other day. The maps are outdated.
And I think we created that map for you, so I'm we can recreate that. That's the birding map that we had on the back, right?
Yeah, and then the old chamber logo is on both the front and the back. But
And then there were little
That
trail
size
markers
sign would
too,
fit.
that, if you wish, or if we want to kind of build those out at some point, page 40, kind of shows the different things you can put, on the pathways themselves, just as further identification. Those are very inexpensive, but added that nice touch, with directional and or, some of it could be regulatory, since we have people who like to, walk their dogs in places they shouldn't walk and ride their bikes in places they shouldn't ride. And
Another thing Colleen and I just were discussing is where this could be useful is putting for emergencies, like I'm on Salt, Island, or I'm on the South Trail at mile marker, 0.5 or whatever. then somebody could come find them. Even though it's not really that far out there, but still people don't know where they are. So something like that could be useful there probably too.
So, the final piece of this was really specialty signage, which we're really talking about the fun stuff that the 4A letters that people can iconically Instagram themselves with. Those are all currently being proposed at Roberts Point Park area. We're working with the Happen Associates team to find decent placement where that would be and not interfere with maybe planned build outs of, say, the amphitheater or the point of the park itself. So some of those are going to be integrated. Yes, other things like the crosswalks being stenciled and patterned in with fun local art, as well as our lifeguard stations taking on a new flair and being, these are just simple colors, but there are easy ways we can bring in artists and commission them to do that to help identify what location you're at based on what animal it is, also what color it is and what number it is. So hopefully all those things can help out. The thing I was going to mention.
And so what about the wayfinding? I saw there was a page in here that said wayfinding. What, other than having consistency among signs, what does that mean? What does that entail? What are you trying to do? Wayfinding.
There are only so many streets in here, so I think it's that path of the preferred path of the traveler and how we want them to get to beach access roads, how we would like them to load the ferry, that'll be on there. And all of the kind of the visitor experience tools. So where are we going to point them to attractions as they hit Cutoff Road and or Cotter and Pallister there, you point them to UT this way and Roberts Point Park and some other things of that nature. So it's really identifying those key assets that we can push them toward. It's creating that sense of place and it's training the visitor to kind of know where to look and have that sense of understanding when they enter a town and can follow a path from point A to point B and not realize they're doing it. So we're just kind of providing that suggestive traveler routes and then zoning them based on the themes. So it's not quite Disneyland by any means, but it's got some clear presentation. Yeah. But there are some, we definitely have sign clutter. We have layers of signs that shouldn't even be up still, that we're slowly pecking away at. But I think, it's just going to be a game changer in terms of how locals see it as well as the visitors who come in.
And this whole package is not centered around parks.
Not
I mean, it's signage for sort of everything in town tourists might do.
Yeah, or the city. I mean, yes, yeah, it's from geared toward residents, resident signage, visitor signage, and regulatory signage, interpretive signage, as well as art and yes.
Directional.
Yeah, it's directional.
Go this way to the marina, there's like hodgepodge of stuff.
There's one more question, then I don't want to dominate the discussion, but it's the same question I asked when we started. So we have signs that in some cases have been there in the preserve system, have been there for a long while. Some are being new to design. So guess I'll ask you, how do you see this, what we have or what you're thinking of integrating with now what apparently is really going to happen? Another new Parks and Rec master plan, those people have been talking with you.
And just
right, and that's kind of getting integrated.
And what this will do for future build outs too is just provide templates that they can use to kind of springboard into, let's say we're building a whole new system or a whole new park or a whole new marina or something like that. It'll provide a pathway, and it'll evolve over the years. We don't expect it to be the same 20 years from now, but it'll at least be that those guiding principles. But go back to answer your question.
I don't know. I'm not sure. I just, that's kind of why we wanted your opinion about, well, I don't know, maybe the city said they could do like a budget amendment sometime in the year to
Possibly.
fund some of this.
Or would be in the following fiscal year.
Yeah, so I need a sign at the south entrance, like as soon as possible. So that's why this is kind of coming up more because I only put in, I think, which sounds like it might not even be enough for one of these things. $15,000. I searched the internet. That's what the internet told me I needed.
I think the big ones, I think you're.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah, so I guess, I don't know, like, I don't know where to start with this, but that's the only sign I really need right now, and it's gonna be brand new. It can look like the old ones, it could look like this, it can look like something else, do we start phasing that in, like this one here, I mean, this is like the entrance is gonna be totally, it's this sign we're not replacing just yet, but we could be maybe doing that one next summer or the beginning of next fiscal year, because this whole area at the bulkhead is getting totally redone.
Right.
Like I had money for a gate and they told me, don't put your gate in because of all the construction that's going on there. So that would be a good time probably to replace that sign if we wanted to.
How many of the new signs in this format are out there?
Oh, like
A bunch.
20
'Cause
something.
when I look at this, I see Port Aransas Nature Preserve, this arc at the top
Mhm,
identifying, and the arc is on every one of these.
right.
That's a consistent.
Well, we were going for
I
that.
like that. I know, but that identifies
Mhm.
the nature preserve.
Yeah,
It's consistent with the existing signs right now. So I
Right.
guess my question is, how much money is it gonna cost to redo all these? In this suggested citywide,
yeah.
and can we do that? Is it something that's, one or
Make
two
some
years
notes.
down the road?
Right.
Yeah, Brett, is there a phased approach like for,
So that's where we're gonna set priorities after we get this final placement location and kind of which ones are we gonna tackle first? Is it gonna be the monument sign? Is it gonna be beach access? Some regulatory or some of the amenity signage programs. But I want to add too that, coastal parks and UT, they're not abandoning all of their brand to do what they want on their trails. They're just finding ways to integrate that. So if this is the nature preserves, stylistic approach to interpretive signage, the two can coexist. You will eventually need to replace those just from time and,
Mhm.
maybe informational updates. But
What is your time frame for implementing? this?
I was hoping it'd be yesterday.
Yeah.
But
Well, we all
so,
know that, but that's no surprise.
realistically, I hope that we can get this knocked out this fall, provide it to the city for adoption or, get them to integrate it into their comprehensive plan. And then we could possibly knock out a phased approach and as early as the spring and building out some of the signage. I don't know when I say phased, I don't know if that's going to be the welcome signs or the beach access roads or which
Yeah.
ones they're going to
Yeah,
pick.
you're gonna have some things you're gonna prioritize to get done.
Yeah, it's all in the ballpark, it's fallen around 1.8 to 2 million in terms of the total budget cost of this program. That's a lot of signs though, and a lot of that includes construction and implementation and what's the word? Putting it in. It
Yeah.
includes
Installation.
installation, that's the word.
So another issue here then, on Rick's question is, Ray, you're saying that you'd like to have this sign at the south entrance built tomorrow,
Yeah.
but you'd have to have yours yesterday,
Yeah, I
Either
just
one of
got the
those
money
could
5
actually
days ago.
but it sounds like it's conceivable that if we were to try to integrate the nature preserve into this, that your sign would be the first one.
Mhm. We are working with the harbor too, so I think they're close to pulling the trigger, and then I'm
Oh,
not
yeah.
sure exactly what the peers are going to do, but there'll be some
Mhm.
serious thought into how they sign the each of the piers that are being built out right now. So
There's some danger of being an early adopter.
Yeah.
Are you're planning signage like this out along the South Trail too, right?
Yeah, and some of the signs I had anticipated just printing again. We made them, or Cheryl can change. Like this resident bird one, assuming all the species are correct. You can say, you change, just change it to the nature preserve or children's pasture, and it's, birds that live all around Port Aransas. So,
I know,
The South Boardwalk's being built right now,
yeah, it's pretty much done.
and it's gonna be looped into the existing
Birding center.
learning center. So that's gonna be an active, that's gonna be in action soon.
Oh, yeah, that's why I want people to find it.
Signs out there, as well as your entrance sign.
Yeah, because people are very confused. They're like, you mean the apartment entrance? I'm like, actually, it's our entrance that they're sharing. So,
Question
Yeah.
would be, you want your entrance sign out there, or do you want to go with what you've got planned?
Mhm.
Or do you want to try to integrate this new system into it?
yeah,
What's the cost difference of that? How are we gonna pay it?
so yeah, I have
Can
50,
you wait? Can you wait 6 months to do that? I don't think we can
Yeah.
wait 6 months to do it.
no,
I think we need to do it
it's
tomorrow.
gonna be, I know, that's why I want to get moving on this as soon as possible, because the trail will be open in a month. Probably. I mean, I won't have a sign by then regardless, which design, because I imagine it takes a long time to create any kind of sign, and I have to get bids, and
Brett,
Uh,
what's y'all's timeline for,
so,
you say your best laid scenario for once you start install to where you feel like the project that y'all are proposing here would be complete?
as an entirety,
Yeah,
About 5 years.
could be 2 years,
Yeah.
so we're at the work with text out on a lot of the right of way issues, and there's some land that maybe we don't currently have access to that we need for some of it. So we can snap our fingers and done, so
Sure.
the attraction signage of the piers and the things that the city owns are going to be, you can make decisions and order in place, immediately. Those are quicker. to answer your question.
yes, yeah.
so if we wanted to adopt this for the South Trail, so could we work with the RSM to get our final design done quicker, right? I mean,
And then we could probably give you the templates and everything
okay,
to build out what you thought made sense. I know one of the reasons we're having this conversation too is like, I mentioned the round of the nature preserve, and it's gonna say City of Port Aransas on it, but if there's things you want to integrate with your logo on it too. That was also a discussion at the last meeting.
Mhm.
You on that call? I can't remember if you were-
no, Colleen sent me the notes.
But it was that, you have this logo and your logo is an egret, our logo is a tarpon, did you want, and I'm not saying you
Yeah.
change the logo, but that was definitely something that Colleen had mentioned to you all to think about as well. So,
All the t-shirts and everything.
Yeah, I don't think I'm ready for that,
Well,
but
fine, yes, so I'm good.
I don't, the logo doesn't need to be on the sign to the entrance either.
Yeah,
But-
it can be, and we can silhouette in just the
Oh.
egret too, if you want to do that. That's more simple, but
Mhm.
doesn't matter. It identifies the place and the kind of the keepers of that place.
Mhm.
And
so Ray, what's your desire to, so I guess I feel like it comes down to a decision like over the long term, because we understand there's short-term needs
Mhm.
that are more immediate. And that may be the current system, but long-term, is it? It sounds like a decision point to say, do we want to try to integrate and brand the same as the city long-term? And as the needs arise to replace signage, it allows you the opportunity to update signage. So I guess that to me is the main question is, do you want to stay your own path with your own signage, or do you want it to try to adopt this and integrate with consistency across the city? And then as needed, Brett, I guess you can answer this question, but as needed, as the signage needs updating, they can kind of set their own pace for replacement
Mhm.
and tying in.
yes, I think that's what Colleen's plans are with a lot of the city parks is that it would, as the signage age and needs to be replaced, those are pieces we can push in. There are some things we can buy all at once, and get some bulk discounts on, but also these signs aren't terribly expensive to do one-offs or a family of series of signs. Anyway, I didn't mean to answer your
I
question.
don't, oh, no,
So,
I guess maybe I should also talk to like the design people about this, because like, I don't know, I mean, I guess my only thing is, does this look like too contemporary? Like, am I gonna have to change all the concrete stuff to make it mesh? You know, like, I'm not a design person. I don't know these things. These are my thoughts, you know, like,
Are you talking
does
the
it,
concrete stuff at the
yeah, like,
Pavilions
It's all
and-
does the
pavilion.
sign not look naturey, but this does? Like, I mean, these are the things that are running through my head. I just want people to be able to find it. But if everything's gonna have that sign, then I guess they will. I mean, I don't know. I'm thinking out loud. But, like, we're not gonna be changing, you know, all of that. I mean, if we put a different monument here that had the wood slats and the circle, like, would that look okay with that, right? I mean, I don't know. I guess those are the concerns I have.
Change it.
Yeah,
This, what exists now blends in with the nature.
well, it was
of
all
the
built
area.
together. Yeah,
Yeah,
the
so-
bollards,
Yeah.
like, I have those concrete bollards, like, I have a bunch of them to replace. Like, no one will make them. Like, they're so expensive. I just,
Yeah, because I've even
changed it.
asked my, who made those?
I think Island Construction.
Island did, yeah. I directly asked them if they were interested in making a bunch more
Mhm.
For us as well. And he said, no, he has no desire at all to ever make another one. So
Exactly. So I don't know, maybe we need to change it anyway, because no one will make us replacements. I don't know. I guess, so I don't think we're gonna answer all these questions today, but the city, like Rick said, Parks with Colleen's, you know, direction, was wanting to make everything cohesive and, you know, the same and similar. And so that's kind of where we ended up where we're at. So that idea is very, I mean, and I love the way this all came out. So we want things to be similar. I don't want, you know, we don't need to have our own identity, really. It's a city park, really. So anyway, I don't know.
It's just a question of change over time and how much it's gonna cost us to do that.
mhm.
Mhm.
With the immediate needs.
Yeah,
Yes, and I wonder if we have something we sort of identify as major signs and minor signs, or maybe there's a hierarchy of signs. Because you need a sign at the entrance to the south side. And it sounds like when they take out the sign, you know, going into the Pasture side, when they rebuild the bulkhead.
Port Street. Yeah.
Yeah, on Fourth Street. So, you know, are those sort of two major signs that identify the, of course, that's not the only components of the nature preserve, but those two are sort of major signs. And are there similar major signs for other components of the preserve system that we might try to quickly integrate into this if we can come up with what this logo looks like? I mean, that's, I don't know whether it's nature preserve Port Aransas is just a placeholder or somebody.
Yeah, I think so.
that's
Just an idea.
What's going to go in there, but it needs, you know, it would have to change even if we adopted everything else.
Mhm.
But I guess I'm wondering, as a start, there are two major signs. One, you got to replace tomorrow. The other one may be in a few months after they build the preserve.
Yeah,
You know, it's a place
it's a
to
good
start.
time.
And if there's a hierarchy of signs, then within that, either we talk like, well, we plan to change those signs over time as we go, or we say, okay, our second level, third level signs are just going to be our signs. You know, that's what they're going to be like there. You know, but the
Yeah,
major signs get you there, and within it, you know, our signs look like our signs within
It's
the
like the
park.
minute
Yeah.
you walk in the Patton Center, you know, there's a much different visitor experience, and that's fine. It's just getting
Yeah.
to that point. And then obviously as a city plan, already a lot of your type styles already match ours as part of
Mhm.
the previous work done and kind of the evolution of this brand. Because the Port Aransas, you know, this is the same type style
Mhm.
as that, or pretty close.
Yeah.
It's within the
Yeah.
same family.
Yeah, and then I mean, that fits in line with the wayfinding program. Like these are our entrance signs, you know, you're at a destination. A major Port A destination by this, having the
Have our own identity
the
signs.
big sign. We don't have to get overwhelmed about this.
No.
Right, I don't want to fund all your interpretive signage or. We don't
Talking
think,
about.
I don't want to pick out birds.
Yeah.
We've got information.
Mhm.
Now.
And there would definitely be template suggestions that, hey, like if you want to do this, say, let's say the history group over where the Civil War site is or whatever,
Mhm.
some of those signs are just kind of plopped up, so maybe thinking about ways to integrate some of the colors or brand or something into that signage would be good. You already do a
Mhm.
great job at that, but some of the other partners in town maybe haven't even thought twice about it, just threw up a sign and it's good, but it didn't really, connect to even their own signage.
Well, that's what, Colleen was working towards that because she's got the same thoughts. We need this to be somewhat cohesive. So,
Look, a couple more questions I have. Do you have a design at the moment for this sign? Am I
No.
overlooking? Do you don't really have a design for that
No.
sign, south entrance?
no, we
So-
kind of thought maybe we would go with this new thing, or what was it? Maybe something that looks more like what we had before. So, that was
So
the easiest solution. What was there before, or we switched to the new branding.
Sorry to come. I was gonna ask you to share your comments. So it seems to me that it would be helpful for both parties, but particularly for you,
Right.
we could actually make some actual recommendation. We could actually help you instead of just kind of, "Hey, that's a good idea." On our own way. So does anybody have an idea that we could say, okay, here's what we think the path ought to be?
I mean, there's so much ambivalence at this point about how to implement the new branding.
Mhm.
And there is an urgency to get the South Trail identified. So I would advocate for a less expensive temporary sign at the
Mhm.
south entrance, maybe that double-sided aluminum, even if it's printed in the style of the old sign. I mean, maybe not the recessed cutout signs, but in that style, just printed on double-sided aluminum so that people can find the sign, find the trail
Right.
when it's opened, and then
Immediately.
and then we drop back and say, okay, now how do we integrate these this new brand intentionally, instead of kind of getting out in front of, or even starting with the wrong color scheme if something changes as it is finalized. I would hate to invest in a sign that's not quite right, but just do a temporary thing that helps people find their way there,
Mhm.
and then go slow
Yeah.
and go fast. Get the plan in order so that then we know how to implement the new brand.
Yeah, and that would, if that went along with the timeframe they're working on, where all the details really get ironed out.
Right.
At least, yeah, I mean, that makes sense, because
And it will
we can
be
get something
interesting.
printed right away.
It'd be interesting to watch how Dave and them take the harbor approach and the
Mhm.
piers, and right now the city hasn't, adopted this. This is basically just committee work that's been done and
Right.
needs to be formally adopted
Mhm.
within the next couple of months. But that's,
You had an estimate of 15,000, you said?
That's what I have in the budget
Okay.
for this fiscal year, which just started, so.
If you started running, trying to get that done, how long would it take to get us a temporary sign like James said
Mhm.
there that would identify the site?
Well, if we were just putting, kind of a large temporary sign that just said basically the nature preserve of Charlie's Pasture South entrance, I mean, we could probably get something printed really quickly. And just have staff install it. Well,
And then it'll be ready.
and then,
That
As,
could be
you know,
done-
this-
That can be done within the timeframe you're talking about. The trails will be open in like 2 months.
yeah, I would think we could do that.
And you could redo or you could reprint some of the existing bird signs and just put them
Mhm.
in there.
Yeah, because I think like, this at Paradise Pond and the Birding Center, the ones that need the maps updated, like this is very similar to what we have out there now, and they are kind of getting faded. So this would be a good style to put a double-sided information about the park and a map on the back of all the nature preserve sites and just town. But
Brett, when do y'all feel like this might be adopted or presented for adoption?
Before the end of the year, we're in October now, so our committee should be done within a month, and at that point, they'll go as far as to get it bid ready, but then the city can adopt it. The individual bid packets for each signage,
mhm,
will be kind of prepared as time goes on, but we'll identify, so month.
Okay.
yeah,
And so
we-
once that's
6
approved,
weeks.
how quickly do you think that they'll be able to start
Building it?
manufacturing? Yeah.
That's up to the city. I would say, money has to be available, to do that. And currently in the budget, there is none allocated for this project, so. I'll leave it at that. But there are pockets of money that are available.
Right.
there could be a
even
budget amendment
The
for
coastal
certain things.
Parks has agreed to fund theirs. UT was gonna help, with portions of the patent sign, so. I imagine some things are gonna get done this year. The big pushes, the biggest expense are those two gateway signage.
Sure.
Those are a couple $100,000 each
Yeah.
when you look at
Yeah,
the ones at each end, so. And those are gonna take a couple of years to, number one, design, manufacture and get the right of way, get the land in the proper
Sure.
mhm.
condition.
Okay.
So,
Well, I would think you should just go ahead and get your
Yeah.
south sign going.
But like a temporary sign.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that idea that, because,
You're gonna have people walking that trail in 2 months, and the cranes are gonna show up in January.
yeah,
yes,
Hopefully,
please.
then we need signage on how to find it, and we need
yeah,
our next part of discussion, which is.
Yeah.
the management
mhm,
plan on that all needs to be adopted.
yeah,
I'd say go ahead with your plans, and then as this develops, integrating this in, something will happen.
yeah, I like that idea, because then we can work more closely with them on exactly what we want, and we don't have to rush into,
You've got a plan to go ahead and get started.
yeah.
Even the mapping process is gonna take,
Yeah.
a couple of months to.
And
Get it right.
I'm reluctant to put new maps out yet, because this fiscal year, we're gonna be adding a bunch of new trail connections. And it's like, almost like, I don't want to print a map until like this, like next year or year and a half of stuff is, or at least we know where they're gonna be, so we can print the maps.
What are y'all printing them on? Like,
Oh, I don't know.
Okay.
Or,
are they expensive to print, or is it just
Oh.
the mapping issue?
well, it was just the maps on the back of,
So we did the interpretive panel.
Right.
That would be on a.
On the map,
other thing,
yeah.
probably something. But
these need to be totally redesigned, because it's the old chamber logo and,
Phenolic resin.
yeah. it's not
But-
those-
Okay.
Yes, the ones that last 10 years, hopefully,
and then
but the other usages.
this, the monument, I have a map that still has Salt Island Trail on it, and we put sticky things on it, trail closed, that just kept falling off and ending up in the environment, so
Let me-
people,
I'll follow up with you
Yeah.
later, but because we've moved to just a laminated style of
Oh.
mapping that we can print on a large format printer ourselves. And they hold
Post
up
it.
extremely well. And that way, when a trail closes or changes or something happens, it's very economical
okay,
to just reprint, relaminate. So
Good.
I'll follow up with you on
And
that.
Yeah, that sounds
that's a
good.
Sign you can put on something
Yeah.
outside. that-
Right, so
stick
we,
it to it somehow.
right, it holds up real well on the UV light because we've got them in our kiosks in the park. And yeah, so it's an in-house job as opposed to, like a large investment that you're like, man, now what?
Yeah.
Something just changed or a storm comes and, that's no
I
longer
know.
there, but you still need signage.
Yeah, that would be helpful, especially for like immediately.
Yeah, I'll get with you.
Okay, thank you. All right, so that. Okay, so we're gonna get some temporary signage up in the South Trail, and then we're gonna work with you guys to,
Once the
'cause I
process is
think-
ready.
for sure, like the first phase could include those major Charlie's Pasture signs and the informational signs at the Birding Center in Paradise Pond that are outdated already.
Your new sign's gonna be more or less in this style, not trying to incorporate their style really at all.
Yeah,
Your
but maybe we
temporary-
could print it
Yeah.
less
Yeah,
expensively
yeah.
than this.
Okay,
That help?
Okay, yes. Thank you, guys.
Good.
Thank you, Brett
thank you.
and Chris. And so this is maybe introduce Chris Riggins. He's the Destination Stewardship Coordinator for the Chamber and Tourism Bureau. Well, you guys.
Okay.
Okay.
They started about a week and a half ago.
Ah.
I'll give your background, but he is gonna help us with the whole Respect Our Island Home campaigns as well as stewardship initiatives. You might have seen the little colorful turtle Flynn
Mhm.
that's been around, so he's gonna help implement those campaigns, work with visitors when they come in about better stewardship as well as our residents and kind of balancing our residents versus visitor interaction. I suppose, maybe that interaction. That's a strong. Good luck on that one. Anyway, Chris came to us from Bryan, Texas, in College Station. So you want to tell me anything else?
Yeah, I'm excited to be here and looking forward to getting to know everyone. I've already had a couple great meetings with Ray and with the Marine Science Institute as well. So just kind of getting my bearings and figuring out what we can do to help everybody out.
Just a shameless plug for November 3rd and 4th, if you would like, we're having the public workshops again. Kind of the final of those series about respecting our Highland homes, and Kathy Ritter will be back from Better Destinations. Both will be there, and we'll kind of talk about how the summer went. We're doing some surveys right now, the residents, so we haven't taken those, please take those. We got about 300 respondents so far, the resident, and then we did a consumer survey for those who visited us this summer. Get their reactions to not only the campaign, but just how they felt about their time once here in Fort Hays. So, that's it.
Cool.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, guys. Did you need this copy?
You're dismissed.
Okay, I wasn't sure if you.
Thank you.
All right,
All right,
thanks
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you.
okay. I don't think we need to take any further action on this item, but seems to be your marching orders for the signage issue at the moment. Okay, so the next item here is the discussion of this adaptive management plan for visitors' use of the nature preserve trail, and particularly that's the new boardwalk on the south side. But Ray, you're on again.
Okay, so this printed weird. Like it made the second page upside down. Anyway, so I put this together when I was working with Felipe a little bit at the Aransas National Wildlife Refuge. He basically has no signs about interacting or with the cranes, but they don't have very many trails that go anywhere near them, maybe at the Heron Flats Trail, but still his suggestions were somewhat put into this decision tree that I made. Where his suggestions were, well, he said that 1,000 feet was a good buffer with the cranes. And then they follow more of like a, do they seem bothered? Are their heads raised? If they are, you should maybe like step back or wait for them to establish a safe distance. Like I was a little bit surprised because I thought he would say if they seem bothered, like you should just get away from them. But and then he said, once they've established a safe distance, you can proceed. Is their kind of recommendations. So that's what I kind of put into here because I thought that sounded reasonable. Like, there's not going to be a ranger out there on the trail all the time. So this is just kind of a way for us to help kind of decide where we would head with, so if we notice the cranes are flying away and being bothered by people a lot, then, eventually we end up with a trails closed situation. So, I put in here that we would, at a minimum, be monitoring the trails like once a week and just trying to, and when we do that, maybe observe if there's any people what's going on, if the cranes are anywhere near the trails, that kind of thing. But then hopefully we could get some volunteers to help with that. Which I wasn't gonna name them in here, but Paula
Mhm.
and Leslie. Leslie is already, they live next door to each other and they're looking straight at the new rebuild of the trail. Leslie is already filming cranes for the International Crane Foundation, or I haven't asked her if she's going to continue to do that. She's done it the last X number of years. So filming behavior, where they are, what they're doing, what they're eating, you know. And so there's 2 volunteers probably already that would, you know, kind of keep an eye on things just so we have an idea of what, if there's an impact on the trail. So, or having visitors on the trail being rebuilt. So yeah, so the beginning of this is kind of just informational about why we did this. And then I thought if we thought this decision tree needed updates or it looks good, then I could maybe flesh out a little more detail in the writing of this, but I wanted to kind of keep it short. And then we could use the decision tree to create some signage for visitors that have these recommendations in there for their use of the trail. I got to get back with a local artist. I asked her to put an estimate together. I would like her to paint and carve out like on a thick piece of board, a hooping crane, like life size, and put it at the entrance of the trail. I think that would attract everyone's attention and probably be like a little bit of like a photo op thing, like with the gator at the birding center, but have next to it all this information, like, you know, if you see them stop, observe their behavior, turn around if needed, like all that kind of stuff. But we could put those signs at either end of the trail, because now we're going to be open from the birding center going over.
Could you have a life size one and then one at scale of what it looks like at 1,000 feet?
Oh yeah, so
that
they know.
have some type of reference to how close they
Yeah,
are.
it might be good to like put next to what an egret is, because often people are like, is that a whooping crane? I'm like, no, it's, you know, great egret.
Right.
Yeah, I was just looking, I was wondering about that when I was looking at this earlier now. Just measurement, what's 1,000 feet?
Yeah.
Now, would I have any idea other than 1,000?
Yeah. I don't know either.
You can see, I mean, this is the trail.
Yeah.
And it's actually on this map.
Mhm.
And from this point where the observation tower is on the old trail.
On the south.
Yeah, south, that's 1,000 feet.
Mm.
And from, I get my orientation, yeah, from here. That island's 1,000 feet, so it's a fair distance.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good, yeah.
And the chance of them being inside there is
Pretty high.
pretty high, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, when they're near the birding center, they're like a couple 100 feet from you.
And another question I haven't had to deal with this is, but I guess we're expecting people to actually look at this decision tree.
No, this is for management for us. And I thought from that, you pull out things for a sign for the public.
So the sign might say, I mean, the rules might be stay 1,000 foot away.
Mhm. Yeah,
But
and then you could describe what it looks like if a crane is being, if you're like, if their head comes up and they stop eating, you know, you might be disturbing them or however you want to
of course, when
put that in.
you leave the trailhead, you're not even gonna see one. And then at some point you see one and say, okay,
Yeah.
at some point. I'm getting to the 1,000 foot mark, I better stop. But on the other hand, they might show up.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
they might come to you. And so I guess you can't have very much verbiage on your sign or people won't read it. But,
Yeah.
you know, it's gonna take a little
Be
thought.
pretty brief.
How do you get people to know, you know, if the bird's within 1,000 foot? I like your idea of having trying to figure out, okay, here's what it looks like if you're standing next to it, which you never are.
Right.
Here's what it looks like.
Yeah.
It's within 1,000
bigger,
foot, it's gonna
it's
be
easier
this
to
little
close.
speck like this, you know, but, yeah.
So you'd have to have, I mean, you'd also have to identify. How would I know I'm disturbing them?
Yeah.
Like you said, heads up, they quit doing what they're doing,
Mhm.
they fly off.
Yeah.
I mean, you have, but that has to be like 3 or 4 statements, period.
Right.
If
Really
you see the
quick.
crane doing these things, stop what you're doing and back up.
Mhm.
So I think you have to be very succinct on that because people don't read.
I know. That's why I wanted,
So, yeah, and you
that's
need-
why I thought the life-size crane might attract their
Yeah,
attention.
well, but you need that reminder again, out halfway out the
Mhm.
trail and out at the platform. So-
Yeah.
So, because they won't remember what they read.
Print them several.
I guess I have one question for the group really before we go on. There's several levels or assessing this management plan and talking more about the details in the general plan itself. From the overall looking at the plan, anybody have any comments on is this plan not gonna work at all? You know, that kind of comment.
I feel like there's limited options, right? I mean, I think it's as good a plan as can be provided, given the constraints of. I mean, it's a limited trail system that really offers no, well, if they're here, go left, right? I mean, they're pretty omnidirectional there, so yeah, that in and of itself, I think is going to limit your options. Should the cranes be encountered, so. I mean, I feel like it does everything it can, with the exception of provide alternate routes, which it can't, so.
Yeah. I don't know if there's any way to put this in the sign or they deal with it, but as I said earlier, the cranes might come. And there's some possibility that you might actually get trapped. You know, you walk out, there's no crane, you come back and there they are, you know, 200 foot from the boardwalk and they're agitated. What am I gonna do? You know, go back to Ranches Pass by foot. I mean, what am I gonna do?
Yeah. You're like, my car's over there. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just-
I mean, I mean, I think that's a reality in it. I mean, I guess the only suggestion is slowly disturb them.
Yeah.
As slow
Well,
as
that's
possible.
kind of what Felipe said.
Yeah.
But do we allow bicycles on that trail?
Yes. So,
No, not the electric bikes.
well,
The
yeah,
electric bikes are defined. We discussed that last time. They're
yeah, we're gonna
motorized.
revisit that, but they are motorized.
I think the observation of people is gonna be as key a component as the observation of the birds
Mhm.
as far as behavior goes.
Mhm.
Because you've got a multi-use trail basically that you're asking people to monitor for, and you're gonna find certain user groups, they're not there to see the birds. Like, the birds are there, but that's not their intent of visiting the park or the trail system. Their intent is to ride their bike. And
Yeah.
so,
In a pretty place. They don't care. Yeah.
right, so everything else is, it's like, so getting that buy-in from a user group that had no interest in the first place,
Mhm.
potentially could be a challenge. And so we may find ourselves quickly moving into, closure is the only option based on a certain user group potentially. I mean, maybe not all, but
Mhm. Yeah, the yellow square in the middle, I have possible action prohibit biking. If that's something like we noticed is.
Right.
I mean, like we talked about, it's that all of this is really hard to, police.
Yeah.
I like the life-size crane sign, particularly for this user group that has no idea what they are, they ride by, this bird standing up, this big. At least we'll pay some attention. What the heck is that? you know, and make them stop and look at a sign.
Yeah,
Otherwise, they're not gonna look at this. Even
Right.
The instructions of what you do when you see one, you say. They wouldn't know it if they saw it.
Yeah.
You know, if you pecked them on the head, they wouldn't know it.
It's like, I'm here to ride my bike. I don't know what this big bird's doing.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, how can we just, like you
I'm
said,
so
just
amazed.
get
I'm sure
attention?
You've seen it. We've been down the beach regularly looking for this elegant turn that's down there, but there's up, right down by the jetties, all the turns and gulls come there loafing. And so many people have no idea there's a bird there. You know, there's 1,000 terns sitting there and they walk right through them
Oh.
and never pay any attention.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, I like the plan and I like your
Okay.
decision tree.
Okay, thank you.
I think your food. We recommend we adopt this and you send it to council, or what's the next way for moving this forward?
I think we decided we didn't need to adopt it. Council doesn't need to adopt it because it's
Okay,
just like
so this is an internal
part of our management.
policy for the agent.
Yeah, and Fish and Wildlife Service said strongly recommended we create something. They don't have to approve it, but they'd like to see it. The regulatory people.
Yeah.
Felipe's, you know, a biologist working up there, so he's like a different group, but he just helped like with,
So then if this is in effect from October 30th till
April 30th. Yeah, that's the dates he used. I thought it was more like
then
October
we need to
15th.
Be proactive and publicize this somehow
Hmm.
for people to know that there's possibility once the cranes show up, and you probably do it in October, do it again in January or as soon as
Yeah.
the cranes show up.
Hmm.
With the caveat that, you know, the cranes are here, they're important here. If it gets to the point where we may have to close that, please understand, but we'll have that, like you said, you'd have guided walks in there after that, so if it was closed,
Hmm.
you can still provide an opportunity for people to go out there and see the cranes, you know, control.
Right. Yeah, that was the
under
thought.
controlled conditions. So I think those are important things to be emphasized,
Right.
and not saying we're just gonna close it, nobody's going out there, period, you're out of luck. right?
Mhm.
It's gonna be closed, but we've got people that will take you out there and explain to you why we're doing this and why it's important to protect.
Well, we can put some stuff together for social media, get with the South Jetty,
Yeah.
and then we'll have the signs at the on-site. So if nobody saw those things, then I think it's right now we're working on stuff for the visitors guide. For the winter visitors guides with the South Jetty, so we could get that in there. Mhm.
There's possibilities. These behaviors we'd like you to have.
Yeah. So we were putting that all together now, so definitely.
And like I said, then the other proactive reminder that the cranes can show up.
Right.
About, remember, this is in the back power. Should be aware of these.
Okay.
I think another thing probably that you as the reserve staff and we as the board probably need to be more active the first few weeks the cranes are here
Mhm.
to try to figure out what's happening.
Yeah.
I mean, you're saying there's gonna be some volunteers who go out there, but I think all of us should try to take the opportunity, once the cranes are here, to go out and walk the boardwalk once or twice a week for
Yeah.
2 or 3 weeks, just so we get some personal knowledge of
Figure out where they are.
what it looks like.
Another thing, we have our, right now we're doing the nature walk only once a month, but we're gonna switch it back to every week in the winter. So I was thinking about switching the location up. And having maybe, once a month it on the South Trail. We could even meet at the birding center and go that way one week. I don't know, so. And then. It could be a good time to educate people too, visitors, because a lot of the people that go sign up for that are not hardcore birders. Some of them are, but.
and you find out the effect of a group as opposed to individuals.
Mhm,
Some days you have 6 or 8 people on the walk, right?
mhm. Yeah, yeah, especially in the winter. It's just more pleasant. There's more to see. Our winter Texans like that kind of stuff, so. The summer, it's hard to get people out at 8 AM, especially often, they want to be at the beach by 10. They've been at the beach for 10 hours the day before. They don't want to walk 2 miles in heat.
You're doing natural resource specialist also.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
do you need anything else from us?
No,
Anybody to offer? I don't know if there's any reason to offer editorial comments about it. And
if anyone wants to, just. Read it in more detail and provide comments, just send me something like,
it's an in-house document.
yeah. Emergency contacts, I put police department, nature preserve, US Fish and Wildlife. I mean, is that, who should be on there? I don't know.
Yeah, are you, along those lines, we talked one time about enforcement challenges in the reserve. Is
Mhm.
this a plan or something that you need to go over or meet with Chief Burrows and we talked
Well,
about having a meeting with him and Duncan and about
yeah,
enforcement and the fact that if something really bad's going on out there, when you call somebody needs to be able to respond
mhm.
in a positive way. And this is more of an internal, you're gonna make the decision to close the trail,
Yeah,
basically.
because this isn't in the city ordinance.
But I'd like maybe to explain it to
Mhm.
police. These are things we're gonna be trying to do out there, and there may be a time when people are real belligerent about this. Ride the dirt bike, harass them.
Well-
You come out there and do something.
Yeah, I mean, even something as simply as like, we're closing the trail and they're like, not to me,
Mhm.
right? And they go on out there, right? And
Yeah.
the impacts that can cause. And having police officers informed when they show up, hopefully they show up as to why the trail's closed, right? Like the
Mhm.
logic behind it,
Just
the implications of harassment of the wildlife, right? Like the codes and violations of, this is an endangered species, these are the issues. And so that's why the trail's closed. That's why, but
Yeah.
also because we said so and we have that power, right? They have the authority to do that, but
Right,
the
and
logic behind it so that they can understand that, there's a greater impact. You can also be charged with if you continue to press this issue, so.
mhm.
Would you close the trail? Where's the turnbull is right now? We've got that boardwalk that goes out and there's that concrete
Mhm.
that extends over the thing. Could you close it
At the end of there.
at the end of that so people still can go see turnbull?
Yeah.
Well, the times I've seen the cranes here, they're on the other side with the tail over there. Doesn't seem like, but walking that concrete walkway where that little pond is, sometimes they're right there. So
Mhm.
other ways to close it there and then the south entrance.
Yeah, we could put something across the boardwalk at the end of the boardwalk. That would actually make it real easy.
Yeah, that would be very easy. I mean,
Yeah.
you'd have to go to a lot of trouble to keep going.
Yeah, just,
Mhm.
it's just a gate.
Not just
Close
to
and
walk
and
around
just
it,
say, I'm
but-
sorry, we're closed because the hooping lanes are here. And
Yeah,
South entrance is closed. So
yeah, they were.
You could maybe keep most people off that part of it that they might be harassing.
Mhm.
So they can still have access to Turnbull to see them pretty.
Oh, yeah, yeah, because they don't seem bothered there. But even Scott
I
said,
think these are good ideas to in some way engage some component of law enforcement here so that.
Yeah.
Even if you
close
print out-
the trail, somebody needs to enforce that, and it's not gonna be you or me. I'm not gonna stand out there. But if you don't do anything
Yeah.
about it, everybody will just still be out there.
Right.
yeah, we put trail closed signs up in places routinely and, people walk, like right now at the end of the concrete thing, people walk by that all the time. I mean,
And
it's not a big deal really. I just but this is a
I think
bigger
that's the
deal.
Point. The trail is closed and it's not a big deal. Somebody goes by and walks around out there, but in this case,
Yeah,
if the trail's closed, it's a big deal.
right.
Somebody's out there, closed it because you're disturbing the cranes and,
Mm.
You can have a physical gate at that entrance anyway, correct? The south entrance, your solo gate.
Oh, well, yeah, that would be easy to, yeah, it's
You have a
almost
gate out there
finished.
now. I thought it was a
Mhm.
gate.
Yeah, there is a gate and then the motors are there. We had issues with the electrical, so it'll be
You
functioning
can
soon.
physically close that.
Yeah, you can still shut it.
We can physically close the gate at the end of the boardwalk at Turnbull.
that'd be a drastic thing to do, just have a sign that, the whole thing's closed, but it may be necessary.
Right, it's probably
So I just think about getting them, making the police or enforcement aware of what you're doing.
yeah, I definitely,
So
and
they don't call up and Say, so what? If they know there's a endangered species out there, this is a big deal. And somebody.
Yeah.
If we really call you, we really need your help.
yeah, so
And if-
go ahead.
I was gonna say, if you want to make it easy, like some laminated cards that they can put in their visor of their car.
Yeah.
That has like relevant information, these are the operating hours, the things you want them to know that maybe they didn't get in the FTO program because they,
Yeah.
spend all their time on the beach, but the relevant. city
That's a good
code,
idea.
Just make it as easy for them as possible on the time when they have to show up to deal with somebody. Like they've got it all laid out in front of them.
Yeah, because they never know what the ordinance is or when they arrive. They have a computer, but I have to give them the number.
Just that on a laminated card.
Yeah,
Right. Like I said, make it
Artists.
Make it easy.
ordinance number, the parks hours, and a
Yeah.
few pertinent rules. That's a really good idea, because but
So,
the more the education with the police department, I think will come. I mean, I'm gonna share this with them now and get them ready and prepared for this, but when we later this year or next year, work on revising the ordinance again, which is what we talked about last time, and then we'll get, Duncan and Chief and all of them involved to come here. Then that would be a good time to really, educate the police department. I want to add things or subtract things, so maybe,
Right.
But, I can find out how many patrol cars there are and put, like you said, get a little info card for each one.
And like I said, I mean, I can promise you, probably none of the patrol officers have the phone number for Fish and Wildlife Service law enforcement.
Yeah,
It's just something they never encounter and they wouldn't know the first time who to call to be like,
Yeah.
somebody killed one out here, some kid with a slingshot, like, what do I,
who do I,
wouldn't even
yeah,
know where to start, right? So stuff like that, like,
okay,
you're,
okay, so, I think it would be useful for the board to, at least go on record as unanimously approving the, adaptive management plan that it was presented to us today. So there
okay,
there are no objections. Well,
Support that.
the board will provide unanimous approval for the management plan as it's presented.
cool.
That's where, correct?
Okay, thank you.
That's where-
Thank you guys for your help.
Okay, and then, I think I'm correct that our last item is a discussion of the new boardwalk and trail connection at Paradise Pond.
Yeah,
So we have a similar handout as part of our.
It's in this thing.
yeah, with the pictures of the signs. Yeah.
Oh, they do it. Oh, that's where it is. Okay. So, again, right, this is since your issue, but, so what we're talking about is this picture that's in the handout that had the sign pictures on it. So there's, funding as part of the, acquisition of those 6 lots. Out of that, what's the name of that building? What's it called? Formally?
I've seen it Porch Street subdivision, Porch Street cottages, and then there was another name I
I think
saw,
it's
so
changed- Yeah, I think it's changed a couple of
Yeah.
times since its inception.
not really
Whatever
sure.
it's called, we purchased, and it's actually happened, it's done deal, right? Signed,
Yes.
sealed, and delivered. To acquire the 6 lots that are on the Paradise Pond side of that street that goes there next to Paradise
Mhm.
Pond, so. This is now as part of that funding, and you said you added some money to it in the general budget. A plan to put extend the boardwalk to go out there into that, and at some point there'll be a planting
Mhm.
plan as well, but so go ahead,
Um,
you can tell us what you need to know from us, or what
Okay.
we need to know.
Well, just updates what you were just saying about the planting, just real quick. We're getting water put in there soon, so we'll have irrigation. And we do have a group of the Gulf Corps. They're like young conservation students or recent graduates that are gonna be here like around Christmas time. So I'm thinking we'll plant a bunch of this then, because they'll be here and we can buy the trees and have them help plant them. So we'll I'll let you guys know about that. But so that'll be our first kind of round of planting for the area in end of December. And then as far as this, once we provide our comments on trail design, they can move into the, putting actual design, final design together to bid this all for construction. And this is gonna also include, I meant to include the whole drawing but the sidewalk through the neighborhood and then the trail around the Channel Vista neighborhood to the community park. So that's all gonna be bid as one project. So it'll all be done this spring probably. I think I have an extension, so we have till next September for the grant money to do all that. So a few of you guys met me out there, and the general consensus of everybody that met out there was making a trail that has a couple little, turns it in as more interesting, it slows people down. Which if people are just kind of cutting through there, they'll be forced to slow down, maybe enjoy, take a look at what they see, and then adding potentially, some places to sit along that way. So I kind of modified a little bit more of so the blue line maybe would be potentially where a trail could go, and kind of just turn a few times, and then that would leave us kind of coming more midway on the property. And then that would give us a little better opportunity if you wanted potentially to put a little trail through where we plant. A little walking thing through here, or a bird blind or something, we can do that over there, and then maybe put like a shade area and then kind of connect over to the side. So that was the thoughts I had based off of what.
And what is the red? The red line,
Oh, that's just kind of a connection over to
that's
getting,
part of the plan,
yeah,
and is a cement sidewalk.
it can be. That's
So
what
the
they were,
blue part has to be
boardwalk.
boardwalk, elevated boardwalk,
Mhm.
at least up to the edge of that berm. I don't know if
Yeah.
any of you been on the backside, but when
Yeah.
they were working on the development, they brought fill the whole thing. And they stopped filling those lots before they got to the end of the lot. Primarily because we had already been talking to them about it, and they weren't gonna build to the end of the lot anyway, so they stopped filling. So when you come out of Paradise, out of the pond, there's a pretty
Mhm.
sharp berm there that probably not quite as high as this table, but it's
Yeah.
significant. It's eroded and washed away a bit now, but
Yeah, and we planted
So-
a bunch of trees
So
down there
once
too
you-
already.
once the the elevated boardwalk gets to the fill area, it could then become cement sidewalk.
Mhm.
If we want to do that, or, yeah.
I would,
And are you thinking of the same kind of graded, metal graded thing that's?
oh, the plastic? Or is that what you mean?
Is that plastic or is it metal?
Out on the birding center?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's plastic material.
oh, yeah, okay.
Good call.
Um,
Think Russ.
yeah, and no, I'm thinking of a wood boardwalk here. Just because,
Is that more expensive?
yeah. I think so. Who knows right now, lumber, but I think so. And then it would be the same as what's out there already, except we are gonna go from 4 to 6 feet wide. But, and then I was leaning towards a concrete sidewalk because actually concrete is cheaper than the granite trail at this point. And it is just so low maintenance.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, it's short enough, but I
Yeah,
just can't see any reason to put that granite on there.
and then we're gonna have
That's
through
a high
here.
maintenance. Yeah, it's a high maintenance, material.
Yeah, so. And then there'll be the sidewalk through the neighborhood, so.
Your thought for running the blue line was to keep this area for the birds to kind of hang out and rest
Mhm.
and not be more disturbing the area would be.
Yeah. And then, this going as a straight line. It's just kind of like.
Yeah.
To engineers, I guess, too, like,
Yeah.
but as initially I was like, I don't want to. Mess with those willows that are there, but then it turned into more of like the comments I received from everybody was. This makes it more interesting
Yeah.
to kind of just meander a little bit.
So on a final plan, that's actually gonna disappear.
This,
Mhm.
yeah,
Okay, so the blue line.
sorry, I guess I should have put X's on that or
That's
something.
instead of the other.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or something like that. I mean, the engineers will get out there and. They had to do a wetland delineation. They did like kind of this area, because I told them we're probably not gonna put the trail where you initially proposed, so they kind of did. That whole area.
Is Paradise Pond considered a wetland? Like a tidal influenced or?
No, but now the rules are back to. Not tidally influenced wetlands are wetlands. I believe. Because during the Trump administration, they were not protected. I think they're back to being protected.
There could be a 404 wetland,
And then,
but do you have to have a permit to do this?
yeah, I think
permit.
nationwide. Mhm. I think so. But it would just be a nationwide, not like an individual permit that's. More complicated. So I emailed Joan and Scott, do you have any photos of the construction of the initial boardwalk? Which was in 2002. Because I did look in the South Jetty archives, there was a lot of pictures and info about it being built and the dedication, but there wasn't any of the actual construction. But I was curious because of what they told me, that they have to put the marsh matting out there to get the equipment out. And so we need this huge wide area that basically is gonna destroy what's there in a small area.
Yeah.
I mean, most people will be happy that the cattails are smushed.
Okay.
So there is that. I mean, I'll be happy. I don't have to mess with a certain amount of them for a little while, but. And then Joan found a picture of right after the construction, and there was definitely not like big marsh mats. The ground looked relatively undisturbed to me. I mean, I don't know how Island Construction, which I found that's who constructed it, how they did it, but I'm being told by urban engineering and their environmental team that regulations change and they have to put the marsh matting out there. It's to protect it and all this, but somehow they did it. Like it was like through the trees. They pruned a few trees is all I saw in that picture. So,
I
but
didn't have any other pictures of the construction.
yeah, but it was right after. You could tell the wood, well, it was from March. The dedication was 2 weeks later. So I was like, I sent it to them, the engineers. I'm like, this was constructed with very little, and the environmental guy said that I have to use the matting, unless it's wet, then you'll have to use a marsh buggy. I'm like, it is wet, like we have to get a piece of equipment the size of this stage. I mean, so I'm not really sure what's gonna happen. I'm scared. But-
Just straight lines, not so.
Yeah, I know. So I mean, every week I'm like sending them more information. Then Colleen found a picture of a dune crossover being constructed where they had the equipment on it and they're setting the pilings and moving forward, but that's for like a 12-foot wide kind of thing. But that's pretty cool. That way they're doing those now because they're making them wider. Because everyone wants a golf cart to be able to go over, but they're able to just keep the equipment on the boardwalk and move forward and not mess anything up on the sides. So, but that's
6 foot's probably not wide enough for that.
nah. So anyway, I don't know, but I am on them to just make sure that there's as little damage as possible. Picking a contractor that's gonna try and do that for us, and so.
But the upland part will all just be cement sidewalk.
That was what I thought.
Anybody have any other questions, comments? So I think it's, again, it will be useful and important and useful for us to have a formal approval of this. I don't know, we actually need to vote, but I can declare the advisory board to be in unanimous support of this trail plan.
Yep.
Are any objections? We are
Sounds good.
Okay,
very unanimously in support of this trail plan.
all right. Well, I can also share along the way as like design or engineering becomes available, just to make sure
Because we can't
everything's all
we
right.
can't do anything with that. If you send it out, we can't do anything but individually
Yeah.
write back and say yes or no. We may need another meeting
Mhm.
once you get the final design plan.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, if we have a meeting coming up, we can talk about it at the meeting, or I can share it and you can respond only to me.
okay.
Okay.
Okay, the final item on here is well, there's something missing. We didn't. How about this? There isn't anything on here for approving the minutes from the last meeting. Do we
Yeah,
have
I-
minutes from the last meeting?
We have them. I thought I put it on here and then I guess I didn't. And so we'll have to do it the
Think
next
what we
time.
need- I don't just think, we absolutely, the next meeting,
Mhm.
need to have the minutes from the last meeting
Yeah.
and this one. We need to keep up with approving
Mhm.
the minutes from the previous meeting.
There's also minutes from March of 2021. I cannot find the recording. There's no notes. Or I have my own notes, but the person that was in Melinda's position at that time, she didn't do the minutes and I can't find the recording, so it might just be recreated from my notes. But I need
So
to
we
do
really
that.
need the
I've
last
been
meeting.
looking for the recording because I thought that would be easier. It's not on YouTube. It's not on that computer. So I know we had the meeting. I have notes about it.
Or we will need the last
Yeah.
meeting
And today.
and this meeting is at the next meeting.
Okay.
I think before we go to the last issue, we're going to schedule the next meeting. I think we should try to meet in later in November, but avoiding Thanksgiving, maybe early December. But
Yeah.
I think it'd be useful to meet, a few weeks after the hooping cranes have returned and the trail's been open,
Mhm.
and you will have had time to get some revised plans for the boardwalk. So anybody have no-go dates or any suggestions? I mean, We don't have a fixed meeting schedule, so we
Yeah.
can do what we want.
I can't meet that first week of December 5th through the 8th, because I'll be at a conference,
What about November 30th?
but I can meet then.
Thanksgiving is the weekend before that.
Yeah. And I'll be gone the week of Thanksgiving.
That'd be 30th would be okay with me
I'm out of town for work.
in that week.
Um,
Yeah.
Are you back?
Get back the 6th of November and I'm not going anywhere. I'm not feeling trip.
Oh, yeah.
That's my 3 major
Um,
trips. Done.
Okay.
Anytime after the 5th of November is fine.
We can't meet without Ray, so the second week's not gonna work.
Yes, the week after that, December 12th. That week
Yeah, we can,
works for me.
we can wait that
City
long.
council meeting, a week,
The week of December 12th? Is that what you're saying?
yeah.
They would meet the third Thursday, and I guess in that case, it's the 15th.
Yeah, because the first is a Thursday, so that's why it's so early.
I could meet on Monday of that week.
12th,
Mhm.
okay with me, everybody else? 12th of December.
It's my birthday.
Oh,
Bring a cupcake or a cake or something.
I'm putting that on my calendar. Reoccurring, Rick Tennant's birthday.
The Feast of Our Lady of Guadalupe.
It is. Oh,
Okay, I'm putting this on for the 12th at 3 o'clock.
Let's do 2:30. It works better for, in case we go over a little bit.
Okay.
I don't have keys to this building and
Okay.
Melinda's here.
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
I think, why don't you, Ray, why don't you send a note around and see if it's works for the
Yeah.
other people that are not here,
yeah.
and if it doesn't work for anybody else, well, it's like, all right, well, maybe we'll do something else, but it'd be nice to have other people, but it sounds
Okay.
like at least can have a forum. Okay, so our final item is the board member comments, so I will remind everybody that this is not a place to talk about actual business, but if we just have any comments, want to congratulate somebody, announce your birthday, whatever.
Yeah,
You did a good job on all this. I'm happy you got a new assistant.
yeah. Dustin's amazing, so I'm glad we have some good applicants ready for filling his position, so.
Anybody else? Okay, this meeting is adjourned.
Thank you. I hope Rosario's okay.
Thank you, guys. I
Okay.
think it's useful to